Great, thank you, commissioners. Thank you, Salke. Thank you, Craig. My name is Jono Wilson, and I am a fisheries scientist with the Nature Conservancy here in California. I'm also an adjunct professor at the University of California, Santa Barbara, where I specialize in fisheries management, fisheries science. And I've worked all across the globe on different issues related to fisheries, in particular, data-limited or fisheries management plans across the globe. And what I'm going to present to you today is a model for climate-ready fisheries management that I would like to present to the commissioners in hopes that, as Samke put it, we can work together tomorrow and over the next couple months to integrate these ideas and these concepts into the fishery management plan for red abalone. Our body of work that I'm going to present today really started back in 2014 when a couple of groups began asking the question of how well does the data that goes into the decision-making process for red abalone, how well does that data serve in terms of informing effective management decisions? And so the Ocean Science Trust, the Ocean Protection Council, they convened an expert panel of academics to develop a report on the scientific and technical review of the survey design and methods used by the California Department of Fish and Wildlife to estimate red abalone density. And I want to draw our attention to a couple key highlights that came out of that report. One is that additional robust collaboration with outside scientific experts will enhance the intellectual resources contributing to sampling and analysis of red abalone populations. Also, they suggested to consider abandoning the sampling of deep transects because of the variability in those transects. Third, further explore the utility of fishery-dependent catch data as a tool for informing management. The department collects catch data in the report cards at each one of 56 individual locations along the entire North Coast. Lastly, a better metric in lieu of or in addition to density may be to use a fecundity index like the spawning potential ratio. So when this report was published in 2014, we got together with a group of recreational abalone divers on the North Coast, including members of in this room today. And we started asking ourselves, well, how can we improve the science and management of the red abalone fishery? What can we do to contribute to this process? And we decided upon two things. One was to develop a durable, length-based data collection program, just as the OST report recommended. So what we did is we got together with abalone divers to collect individual length measurements of abalone underwater using engineered calipers. Those calipers allow divers to record hundreds of abalone, the individual length measurements of hundreds of abalone per day. Those data, when you look at the size distribution that you collect from those types of data, can inform a decision-making process because data is directly representative of the fishing mortality rate. 100 years of fishery science supports that. So importantly, we realized that we were going to have to scale this program. So we teamed up with Reef Check California. You all know Reef Check. They're a nonprofit group on the North Coast who specialize in this type of underwater citizen science data collection. So we designed a data collection protocol with Reef Check and the department in which citizen scientists can now go out, take a week-long or a weekend-long course with Reef Check and be trained in these protocols to start collecting individual length measurements along the entire North Coast. Over the past 2 years, we're now up to 17 sites and we've collected over 8,000 individual measurements of abalone.
I like that it took the short abalone in the picture on the right.
Don't look at me. Those are actually dead shells, but
okay.
Again, I'm not naming names.
How many?
8,000.
8,000.
Yeah. And so importantly, we recognize that there are 25,000 individual recreational divers, and this Reef Check program is not reaching all of them. So we're in the process of building a web-based app for a mobile phone in which a diver can, upon exiting the water, can snap a photo of the abalone, and that app will automatically upload the data in terms of the size of that abalone, a site location, and the user to the cloud, which could be used in furthering management decisions. And so we're piloting that project this summer, and we hope to have a working model by the end of summer. So happy to keep you involved with that, looking for more involvement as well. It does. So you can snap the photo, and then as soon as you reach cell phone service, it will upload to the cloud at that point in time. Yes, so it records the GPS. Any phone will, the camera records that. Okay, so secondly, and this is what the remainder of this talk will be about, if I could forward this thing. take a break and stretch. All right, we will. There we go. We wanted to design and test a multi-indicator harvest control rule. You probably heard this term thrown around a couple times. A harvest control rule is a formal, transparent decision-making process. It takes in information and responds with an adjustment to a total allowable catch, up or down, based on the information coming in. It's transparent, it's objective, and it's forward-looking. So we got together and realized that the current ARMP utilizes some highly effective data, but it was not in integrating all of the data streams available to the red abalone fishery on the North Coast. So we worked with a number of international fishery scientists from Australia, Bill Harford, who's in the room here from the University of Miami, who are experts in developing these types of multi-indicator harvest control rules. We realized that there was, like I mentioned, individual report card landings data by each of the 56 locations on the North Coast dating back 15, almost 20 years. So we have those data. We also have this incredible reef check data collection program on the lengths of individual abalone. We also have the department's density data, and we have environmental indices such as the El Nino index. If we could design a control rule that would integrate all of those different data, those indicators, then we think we could improve upon the management decision making. So over the past year and a half, we have been doing just that. And Bill has been developing what's called a management strategy evaluation, which is essentially a computer model to simulate all of the dynamics of a fishery. And you can ask yourselves, if you were to employ this type of data collection program, integrate all these data sources into a harvest control rule, how well would that improve your outcomes next year, 5 years from now, 25 years from now? So the way this management strategy evaluation works is on a computer, you simulate all of the dynamics of how abalone operate, their growth, their mortality, their reproduction. And luckily, there's a lot of great data that the department has collected over the years that we were able to use. You also simulate a monitoring system, such as those catches, the size of abalone from a reef check sample, the density, etc. You analyze those data, you integrate them into your harvest control rule, you make a decision up or down on what the catch should be, you deploy fishing, and that loop goes round and round. Every year, you simulate that forward in time. So we did this in a computer, and we asked ourselves two main questions. One is, how well does our multi-indicator harvest control rule perform relative to the only thing we were able to compare it against, which is the ARMP? We're hopeful that in our conversation tomorrow with the department, we'll be able to integrate their line of thinking too, to figure out how to improve upon both of our strategies. So that was the first question. And then the second question we asked was, if we were to actually use this multi-indicator control rule, how important are each of those data streams? How important is the density data? How important is the length data, or the environmental index, or the catches? And so both of those questions we asked, and that would take days for me to show you all the slides. So I'm just going to present one slide, and I'll tell you about the second finding. First, with regard to the density data, we found that the variability in the density surveys was so extreme that it was virtually uninformative to improving any management outcome. Secondly, what we found was that when we compared the ARMP to our control rule, we found a couple things. 3 points I want to highlight. We had similar average performance. So this is the ARMP here in green, and this is the multi-indicator decision tree. What we found was that if you were trying to achieve a certain biomass level of animals in the water over a 25-year period, using the ARMP control rule, we would have a lot of variability in that biomass. The mean across both of these indicators, or both of these control rules, would be about the same, but you see that green box, the variability would be dramatically reduced. And then last point, which is important, is that we eliminate a lot of these poor outcomes. So by using the ARMP decision-making framework over a 25-year period, there are some instances where our decisions would result in really low biomass. But we eliminate those options if we were to use this multi-indicator control rule. So with that, I will take any questions. I believe that is my last slide. Oh, I actually have a couple take-home messages, sorry. So I just want to reiterate that this multi-indicator harvest control rule, it meets management objectives. and is robust to perfect storm conditions. One of the things that I didn't tell you about is that we threw the kitchen sink at this model, at this control room. We said what would happen if there were recoupment failures and harmful algal blooms, and what would happen, under El Nino conditions. We put all of those together to ask whether it still performs well, and it does. And second, I want to iterate that length and catch data were the most informative to the decision-making process. And moving forward, research funds should be targeted at those highest priority data collection programs. And significant cost savings may be able to be achieved if we were to think and consider those types of options.
So Dr. Wilson, would you recommend eliminating the surveys?
I think more work would need to be done before I was able to comment on that, but I think there could be some improvements to the density surveys at the very least.
Great, thank you. I just want to comment that I had the opportunity to go out with diving with Frank Bird and saw the app. We measured our abalone when we were done. It's really impressive. It's very easy to use. It captures data really well. Did anybody not hear me in the back?
That's true.
There you go. You heard me in the back.
I cannot hear
Oh, you cannot hear me. Thank you, Doug.
You bet.
Yeah, I just said that I went diving with Frank Hurd, who was developing this app for the Nature Conservancy, the measuring the app. And it's really impressive. It's very easy to use. It takes 10 seconds after you're done in the water measuring. You put a quarter on a kind of a whitish surface or a consistent surface. Put a quarter next to it, which is how it measures against, and it's really impressive and easy for divers to use. And I think divers will enjoy using it. They're recording their catch, and it's a pretty cool tool. Anyway, thank you. Please.
Yeah.
Any more questions for Dr. Wilson?
Yes, sir.
Can you go back to your previous slide? What is the green area and looks like air Mars?
Yeah, exactly. So this is called a box plot. This is the average, this black line. This is the one confidence interval away, and then this is the whole range of variation of your projections moving forward. Wasn't going to try to get into all the details, but
I'm
yeah.
sorry.
No problem. Thanks.
Suggestion for your app, maybe making like a section where you can look at what other people caught and compare, or like the biggest abalone you found. Make it more fun rather than research-based kind of.
Thank you. Yeah, we're considering all of those. It's a fine line between ensuring that individuals who like their secret spots don't get those secret spots revealed. But yes, thank you. We're trying to figure out those types of games that we can play.
There was something built into it already, right? That if you what's the existing kind of game?
There is. I think it's the top 5 of the week. Is that right, Frank?
Yeah, Frank Hurd here. We've been playing around with a bunch of different ways of incentivizing and motivating people to jump on the app. And we started out with a weekly top 10, found out that only the people with large abalone would submit abalone. So we moved on to actually talking with some of the world's best abalone divers and getting some really great pro tips on how to improve abalone diving, whether it be getting larger abalone with bigger meat, that kind of thing. So every abalone you submit on the site, you get a free pro tip from somebody like Jack Hawkins.